everyone. Again, welcome to Epic Living TV. We are so thrilled to be launching this today. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in. This is the first of a series that we're going to be doing. We happen to be live at the Northwest Women's Show for this. And what better place to talk about women to other women? I have to tell you, I am so thrilled to introduce you to a friend and colleague of mine. And honestly, I can actually say to her, back in the day, and we might have a few moments of those here today.
Do we really
back
want to do
in
that?
the day? And of course, I'm talking about Donna Seebo, and you know, in intuition, what that's about. Fabulous, fabulous hit radio show, much more. And for those of you that ever heard me share the little story I shared with you about the fact that if you go back 10 years or so, there was about a handful of us, maybe 5, that are still around today, that started to make a choice to come out into the world, buy radio airtime, to take a message out in a venue where women were not actually even in existence. And so this is what started the rage now for women to have a voice. Now, 10 years ago or so, or when we were kicking it up, we had to learn what this is about. But the thing that was clear for both Donna and I, and we're going to hear from her, is we had something that we were passionate about. Donna, thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's
great
a
to
delight.
have you.
My goodness. Yes, you're right. We go back
We
quite
do go
a few
back.
years.
I mean,
yes.
don't you think it was about 8 years or so? And I mean,
yes.
And I do want to go back in the day, and let's just reflect if we could for a minute. Nowadays, Blog Talk Radio, Live 365, people can come on, do a show.
Oh,
a lot
absolutely.
of women, a lot of men. Some of them happy, a lot of them pretty frustrated. But there were a group of us, you know, and I'm really struck by, you know, some of who these folks were. Group of us that came out and we bought airtime right at the gate as women.
That's right.
Probably our spouses and our partners looked at us like, what? What was it for you? What was it for you that grabbed your attention, that said, I'm going to take my gift out in the world through this thing called independent radio?
For me, it was a dream that started back actually in 1981. I was standing out at a hotel, outside of a hotel. I had done a guest appearance, and this was up in Alaska. And the internet had just started. It wasn't, it was just barely there.
I know. Now listen, when we say the internet just started, this was not a million years ago. It's relatively new.
That's right. And so I had a very dear friend, Norma Heron was her name, and she was a producer. And Norma and I had worked together on a number of shows through the years. And she said, Donna, do you have a dream? I said, yes. I would love to have a show on the internet because I knew what it was reaching.
Yes.
And it was international. And I said, I really would like to have an international show.
Yes.
Well, at the time when I was discussing that, talk radio, live talk radio was actually dying.
Yes, it was.
It was dying.
Yes, it was.
So someone like myself that was so accustomed to live radio, interacting with people on the air, this was becoming more difficult. And then in the later 80s, then the door opened, and there were some stations that were beginning to sell airtime. And if you had a dream about being a host, unless you knew somebody on the inside,
right,
there was no way you were going to be able to get on, no matter how good you were.
No.
And so what happened is there was a man out, his name was Jim Bain, and he had a station out in Fife, Washington. And I went on. It was once a week, and that's when I started.
Yeah.
Talk about paying for airtime. He was the first one in the area to start it. And it was started primarily because the stations were having so many financial problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really a very difficult time for radio stations.
Yeah.
It still is.
Yeah.
And they've got so much more competition today. And so it evolved. And then in 2001, the door opened for me with a local station to go on the air to have a 5-day-a-week show. And a friend funded me. His name was Steve Chapman. He'd known me for years. He said, Donna, you'll be a success because I know who you are and I know what you do. That was the beginning. And then you and I met at KKNW.
Yes, we did. And, you know, that leads me to talking to you about, people ask me, Oh, Dr. Pat, call it the Dr. Pat. I said, you know what? I need to call it something about where I am right now. We need to talk about this television thing that we're doing in the framework for not just everything that we've accomplished, but where our stuck points have been. You know, what have we learned from them? And so this is called Epic Living TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to ask you what that means to you. What have you learned in your life about what it means to play at a level that is not the level you want to play at? And what can you share with people about how to take those steps to an epic life?
It's a process. There's not a magic bullet. I think that's the first thing I'd say. There's not a magic wand. What you have to realize is whatever your dream might be, whatever person's dream might be, it is important to have integrity with that dream and realize that you're going to step in a lot of deep 6 holes and a lot of mud puddles, and you have to have a lot of baby wipes to wipe around the tears and, you know, fix the hair or whatever. And then you just pick yourself up and you move on. Whether it is finances, whether it is the loss of loved ones, whether maybe you've been humiliated by someone and they tell you you're stupid and you can never do this and you're not pretty enough, you're not educated enough, you're not this, you're not that, you don't have a PhD. I love it that I'm at an age where I can say I've got a PhD, it's a PhD in life, and I've earned all of that. And everybody walks a different path.
Even going through a PhD program, they still will call you stupid, Donna. Trust me on that.
But I think that we really have to, each of us as an individual, where you're making the best chocolate chip cookies in the country, or you know the best toilet cleaner that's out there, or you decide you want to run for the presidency of the United States. Doesn't make any difference. It is, what is your standard? And I think one of the biggest difficulties any of us have is dealing with not compromising our integrity.
Yeah.
Because many times when you're in environments and you don't compromise that integrity, people will throw mud on you or say, you're out, you're gone, you're finished, because this is what I want, not what you want. So it takes guts. I think that's what I would say.
I love what you're talking about. Now, for those of you that don't know, Donna and I have been down the road of independent radio hosts. We buy our airtime, and through the grace of our sponsors and other folks, we get to be on air. And you and I know, we've been faced with making decisions about our sponsors, who they are, from a place of integrity.
Absolutely true.
That's why your listeners love you, because they know that you're not going to compromise that. And
very true.
In a world where folks are questioning, well, what can I count on? You know, you have become a pillar of strength and optimism and intuition that so many people count on. That's why you and I have to figure out a way to make this bigger than it's ever been, and to provide people with things that they want and things that they can learn from, and how they can change the world. I wanted to ask you about, what do you see women in general? You talk to a lot of women. I know you do.
Oh, yes.
Don and I, by the way, we read everybody's book. You know, if you're going to be on our show, we're going to read your book. So we may say something like on page 71 where you say, so make sure you read your book.
Absolutely true.
What would you say is the greatest opportunity women have right now in general? And also one of the greatest obstacles, challenges?
The greatest thing that women have today is the right of choice.
Oh.
That's the greatest thing they have.
Okay, great.
The biggest disadvantage they have, in my estimation, is not accepting it. Buying in to beliefs, attitudes, cultural demeanors, limitations of so many levels where they say, I cannot.
Right. Wow.
Adaptability is a word that I frequently like to use with people, because if you're not adaptable, now again, this is not compromising the self.
No.
It is adaptability. When you are adaptable and you're flexible and you're willing to take a risk, and you may fail, you may lose. You're going to have people that are going to lie to you, people that are going to take money from you, people that are going to con you, people you're going to find that just do not have the integrity you want to believe in. I mean, I've been down that road more than once in my lifetime.
Amen, sister.
And I just say, oh, please, how could I have been? And I've called myself dumb at times. Because I say, how could you be so dumb? How could you let somebody with all of your experience do this? And you go, duh, okay, they were better than what you thought they were, but they are not what you thought they were. And it really is a challenge. It's a big challenge. But you have to go ahead anyway. You have to be willing to say, all right, I did something dumb, I did something foolish, now I pick myself up. It's just like the old song, and start all over again.
Start all over again.
And you don't give up. You never know who you're going to come in contact with, who is going to hear you, see you, observe you. The universe, for some reason, will open up doors when you least expect it, when you're ready to give up, and it'll say, this is a door. What do you want? 1, 2, or 3, 5, 6, or 7. What do you want? And you have to be willing to be decisive.
But isn't that what you help people with, Donna? I mean,
yes.
Isn't it that you help people with their intuition, how to show up from that place, how to live in the not knowing, but be ready for the awareness? You're going to laugh at this. This is really interesting. About, I'd say 6 months ago, maybe a year, but I think more like 6, I was approached to be part of this campaign, this thing I didn't even understand. But Kevin Trudeau was heading it up. And there was, join us, do this, learn this, make this. And for whatever reason, I must have gotten some smarts along the way. I just was like, this doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel. And I had people presenting to me and this is. 2 days ago, my friend sends me an email and says, oh, FYI, Kevin Trudeau just got sentenced to 10 years in jail.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Now, what I want to say to folks, and this is what I think you're saying, we have both stepped in some enormous potholes.
Big ones. Loaded with
Loaded with them. When you pick yourself up, please stand tall. Hold your head up high. It doesn't matter what you've said yes to, what you've said no to. There's a world of possibility. Dust yourself off.
That's right.
And keep going. What's your personal message, Donna? Thank you so much. Tell people how they can find out about you, about your show. And then what's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Well, I would say I would welcome people to go to my website, which is delphiinternational.com, so they could find out what I'm involved with, what I'm doing. And if I were to leave a message, it would be, courage is not something that comes out of a book, out of somebody else's story. Courage comes from living your life with integrity, with purpose, and passion. I think it's very important. When you have those components and you're true to yourself, you're never going to lose. You never lose. Nobody can ever take that from you. And I think we're seeing more and more women that are saying, whether I'm in politics, whether I'm in the food industry, hospitality industry, whether I am putting on shows like we have around us today, whether I'm in an area of business, education.
Yes.
We can make a difference. And it is the female, always. It has been the woman that has been the catalyst of change. And if people don't believe that, then they better start checking who is in the grocery stores, who is taking care of the children, who is entering into industries that were locked away from them.
Yeah.
We've been able to break through And I like to think that those of us in the United States that have been part of the pioneering process, whether it's been in media or any other modality, it doesn't make any difference. Those younger women that have the opportunity to interact with us need to know that that is something that they are going to carry forth their own legacy. And if they can learn from us, if they can take the golden nuggets that we have and apply them to their own lives, they're going to far exceed anything that we're going to be able to do. But that's part of our job, Pat,
yes,
I think.
It is. I agree. That's very powerful. I agree completely. And that's why we're showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for most of you listening to the show, of course, we're giving you Donna's information. Please connect with her.
Mm-hmm.
Donna, thank you for a great show.
It's been a pleasure, Pat.